Gears of War, Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2 and Dishonored 2 are just a few of the epic games released before the 2016 Steam Winter Sale. Whichever ones you're picking up, you'll likely want a decent rig, and that's where I step in. Hey guys, Generic YouTube here, and today I'm going to be going over a fantastic $600 build that's not only extremely powerful, but also very small. Okay, enough for sexual innuendos, this is serious. Anyway, this build doesn't come with an OS, monitor, keyboard, or mouse, so you will have to pick those up yourself if you haven't got them already. And this PC won't have a problem playing the newest of games at 1080p, and I guess if you're more aware of gaming performance, this is basically very similar to the 970, to the GTX 970, in a lot of newer games, but that does vary on a game by game basis, and as you'll see with some of the examples listed down below, this will still beat it. Looking for geek and gaming collectibles? Loot Crate is essentially Comic-Con in a box. Every month there's new goodies from collectibles to apparel to tech gadgets and other epic gear. Check out the link in the video description to learn more. Starting with the CPU of the Intel Core i3-6100 3.7GHz dual-core processor, costing $111. Generally, when you're looking for a CPU in a gaming rig, you shouldn't really be shelling out tons for, say, a 6800K, because most games don't give a rat's ass about that, whether you have 6 cores or 4 cores. In this case, the one I went with was a 2-core CPU, which shouldn't bottleneck the graphics card, and still provides an excellent foundation if you ever plan to upgrade in the future, which I'll explain more later on. The CPU does run at a healthy 3.7GHz, though you should know a CPU isn't overclockable. Other than that, the CPU also features hyper-threading and integrated graphics, and for the last I don't know how many builds to be honest, I've always been banging on about hyper-threading. Hyper-threading allows the CPU to more efficiently handle tasks, so once it has 4 threads, much like the i5, in this case it means that it's a step up from the regular 2 cores found in the Pentium chips, but not as good as the i5 with 4 actual cores, since the CPU we're using has 2 cores and 4 threads. The fact that it uses the LG1151 socket means you'll have no problem switching to an i5 or i7 in the future, but not just a Skylake CPU, oh no, you also have the option to swap it out for a Kaby Lake CPU. Trust me, I'm not making these names up. No aftermarket CPU cooler in this build since I was a bit stretched trying to get as much performance as possible in this price bracket, but the stock cooler found in the i3 isn't actually that bad. It's like any other generic Intel CPU cooler, but since we went overclock and the case we've gone with is small too, there wasn't really any point going with it. For the motherboard, I went with the ASRock H110M ITX AC Mini ITX LG1151 motherboard, costing $68. Now for this price you're getting a lot of features, since this motherboard does come with a dual-band Wi-Fi module supporting both 2.4 and 5GHz channels, with wireless connections topping out at 430 megabits per second, way above most people's internet plan. But this is a mini ITX board, so you won't have any room to fit in multiple graphics cards or other PCI or PCIe solutions, but this motherboard has allowed us to go with a much smaller rig. The board supports 4 stated 6V/s ports, allowing you to connect to 4 drives, has USB 3.0 headers, they're basically a standard by now, and supports 2 memory modules with a max speed of 2133MHz. Though XMP profiles isn't supported. Now in terms of back panel, you do get 1 PS2 port, 4 USB 2.0 ports, and 2 USB 3.0 ports, as well as an RJ45 LAN port, audio ports, and some display connectors, which don't matter since you're just going to be connecting this to the GPU and not the motherboard. Truth be told, this is a decent mode under $70, which comes with most of the bells and whistles that some of the more expensive, say under $100 motherboards have. Now for RAM, the Corsair Vengeance LPX 8GB 1GB DDR4 2400 memory is an excellent choice, costing $37. The combination of modernized heat spreaders as well as the price makes this a worthy contester against other modules for your wallet. The full speed of this RAM won't be used, so don't worry, it'll just underclock itself to the lowest common denominator, which doesn't affect game performance, and I guess that's what you're here for. Going with one module over 2 will allow you to add an additional stick of RAM in the future, making a total of 16GB, and going with one module over 2 won't have any negative repercussions on performance and gives us the flexibility we crave. For storage, we have both an SSD and a hard drive. Starting with the SSD, we have the ADATA Premier SP 550 120GB 2.5-inch solid state drive costing $40. Now SSDs are much faster than hard drives, with a compromise of capacity for the same price. 120GB is enough for installing Windows and your favorite programs, and this will decrease boot times and loading times, but not FPS in games. So if you still want to load some of your games onto this, look into getting a 240GB SSD. And for the hard drive, we have the Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB 3.5-inch 7200 RPM onto a hard drive, costing $50. This will be the mass storage solution for the rest of your games, all of your videos, music, and all of those files as well. The combo of an SSD and a HD will save you a lot of money and still provide a good blend of capacity and speed. Now for the GPU, I went with the GeForce GTX 1063GB gaming video card costing $200. While slightly lower spec than the 60GB model, the 1060 still performs really good and is still better than the RX 470 and say comparable on par with the RX 480. If you're into the whole PC gaming scheme, performs on par if not slightly better than GTX 970. And well, what does that mean? Well, if you're looking for high-end 1080p gaming or entry-level 1440p gaming, this card is an excellent choice. Core clock of this GPU is 1551 MHz, which you should be able to easily overclock, thus outputting more FPS. As a result, the byproduct of this is heat, and in such a small build, you will build up heat quickly, no pun intended. And it being a smaller GPU, the fan might not be able to keep the cooling as adequate as some of the larger cards, but that's up to you, whether you want to overclock it that far. This GPU doesn't support SLI, they don't actually give a shit about that, and this card has one HDMI, one DVI, and 3 DisplayPort connections. The two most popular features are probably CUDA and Shadowplay. Now CUDA will do the GPU acceleration with other things like video editing, so the entire post-production process will go a lot faster and smoother. Without GPU acceleration, things take a whole lot longer, and for me for example, an After Effects composition with a 5820K processor would say take an hour or two to render 4K denoised footage. Alternatively, with GPU acceleration, the same clip only takes about 20 to 30 minutes. I've even seen far better results in Premiere. Shadowplay on the other hand will allow you to record gameplay on your PC, with pretty much all games supported. And if not, you can just enable desktop capture. So yeah, all games are supported. You can record 1080p, 1440p and 4K with the ability to record at extremely high bit rates. One of the features I commonly use is the Shadow Record feature, which works much like the Elgato Time Shift or Flashback recording feature that they have. A very excellent piece of software. Alternatively, I am going to be explaining this a little bit more. Shadowplay uses the dedicated H.264 encoder on the GPU to encode the gameplay you just recorded, but you can also use the same encoder with an OBS. And what this does is it lowers the CPU usage and well, spits out a really nice looking image with a pretty much zero performance hit. Next we have the case being the Cooler Master Elite 110 Mini ITX Tower case costing $39. Linus at LTT made a video about this for the specific PC case, and it's remarkably small. This case is 11 inches by 8.2 inches by 10.3 inches, and whilst it can be a little cramped during building, you'll be really pleased you went for this. It has room for one 2.5 inch drive, like an SSD, and or up to 3 internal 3.5 inch drives. Not a fancy side panel or anything like that, though if I do remember correctly, the front Cooler Master logo should light up blue at least. And it is a black case which looks pretty decent as it's small enough to put on a desk, in the lounge or anywhere else, without being extremely loud or difficult to handle. And lastly we have the PSU, the Fractal Design Integra M 450W 80+ bronze certified semi-modular ATX power supply, retailing at $50, and it's really good for the price. It is great quality and supplies up to 450 watts, which is way more than our system pushes. But you should know that a modular PSU is great for a system like this. Generally we don't have any space to waste, and in a build like this, a PSU which isn't modular means that you can't remove any cables, and thus some are unused. This means that it will take up valuable space, and I guess you can see where I'm going with this. It'll make building a lot more difficult or take up space which is now blocking airflow. Since this PSU is semi-modular, it means that a PSU has all the necessary cables attached, such as a CPU and 24-pin, but the rest such as a peripheral and 6-pin cable is up to you. Good stuff. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to give it a like and share it with your friends. I really am interested to hear down in the comments below what games you're looking to pick up this year, and I've got a lot of cool shit coming up soon before Christmas, so make sure you subscribe. If you've got any other questions, leave those down in the comments below or tweet at me, and other than that, be sure to add me on Steam or Origin for Battlefield, and have a good one. This has been Proto, adios.
Back from the dead.